Well, if over the years you've become a fan of strolling the interior portions of this mall or shopping the stores here, be aware that your time to do so is quickly running out. Signs at the mall entrance advise that as of Sunday, the mall concourses will be closed to the public as Uniland Development pushes forward in its plans to convert the property upon which this mall has stood for more than 50 years into an entire neighborhood with homes, offices, and shopping. Existing businesses with exterior entrances will be unfazed by the shutdown of the mall's core, while some within that core have secured vacant spots with outside doors to continue their business, although several others will be moving out entirely.
If you have flown into Buffalo, New York in the past 50 years and are looking out the right side of your approach, you can see a huge plus-shaped area surrounded by a vast surface of aging pavement and parking lights. The building you are seeing is the once proposed Buffalo Mall in Clarence, New York, a northeast suburb of Buffalo, New York. Construction for the aptly named Eastern Hills Mall began in 1969, and the mall was opened on November 8, 1971. Some of the original anchors were AM&A's, think like Bon-Ton, a Buffalo-based retail chain, Jen's, which eventually turned into Reed's Jen's, the jeweler store, Woolworth, and Hengerer's. This 72-acre site located 11 miles northeast of downtown Buffalo would reign supreme with its approximately 70 stores for quite some time. For the first 17 years of its existence, it was the largest shopping center in the Buffalo area, and if you're from the area, you know often when someone says Buffalo, they are referring to a suburb, as the suburbs nowadays are really the nest that fuels this area. The story of this mall can be summed up in two words: Walden Galleria. Located just 5 miles away in Cheektowaga, this two-level mega mall that opened in '89 pretty much sealed Eastern Hills, and for that matter, all of the other malls in that area's fate. By the mid-'90s, Eastern Hills was in a decline, and while the constant rotating anchors surely did not help things, the Galleria really knocked the wind out of any other mall's chance of long-term sustainability and success. The mall did undergo 2 renovations during its tenure, once in the mid-'80s, dropping the typical earth tones of the '60s and '70s in exchange for a neon-laced food court and a signature pink striped floor that would last until its demise early this year. The second renovation would occur in the mid-00s and would split the food court in two and add a fireplace, TVs, and a sitting area added to the mall. Lipstick on a pig, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. The DeBartolo Mall would follow the typical path of malls, where they have a grand opening and long run only to see eventual change, sterilization of its character for the most part, and eventual downfall due to technology, competition, and the fall of the anchor eras, meaning anchor stores. And that's pretty much the story of this mall. As far as the stores that were inside, you're just going to have the typical things that you're used to, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. And the area that we are walking through right now is the only original area of the mall. So currently, as of the recording of this, it is January 18th, 2024, and the mall just recently and unfortunately finally caved in, and the redevelopment plans are finally going to take place. So I was in here a couple days before it closed, and I live in this area, so I have been here many, many times. By the way, Anthony here, of course, with Ace's Adventures. So glad to be back with you all. And as I had recently announced, we are back, back. So this is the first of many videos coming up this year. But it was really sad to see this mall finally close. I used to come here all the time. I did up until recently. And even though the mall has been in a steady decline for quite some time, I really enjoyed this property for this area here, this original looking center court area with the fountains and the purples and teal pastel and the original ceiling that is still there. And also because even though a lot of your traditional anchors had left the mall and it was pretty much homegrown stuff for the most part, I really enjoyed a couple key things. They had a large place called Niagara Emporium, which occupied the former Macy's space and was basically like a large permanent 7 day a week estate sale with different vendors and just fun things to look at, unique stuff and 80s stuff and shoes and cards and movies and gaming systems and pretty much anything under the sun, furniture that you could think of would be in this mall. And there were a couple other stores that are, really popular right now. That's one thing that, even though they're like in dying malls a lot of times, these vintage stores that people go to, like that have the records and the 80s and the Funko Pops and the trading cards and all this stuff from the 80s and 90s, video game systems. They seem to do really well. Nostalgia is definitely very hot right now, which of course I suppose ties in on some pop culture level to what I do here at Ace's Adventures. So it's great to be back with you guys. I'm really glad that I got to get some good footage here of the mall before it closed. I want to give a big shout out to Dalton Drake, one of the mall's managers, who was kind enough to take me on a walking tour of some areas that I didn't know existed. So just going to talk about a few more things here. What you're going to see in a little while is going to see some typical mall footage here with some pretty rad, funky background music. And then in just a little bit here, I'm going to show you a compilation of a couple different clips. Dalton took me into the former Kleinahan space, which was a retail store that at some point was part of it was walled off and hidden from public eye. And when you see this towards the end of the, a little bit later down the video, it's pretty awesome. It's kind of like that McDonald's or whatever Burger King store that was kind of walled off for years and hadn't been seen. That's what really is one of the key things that excites me when I film these malls, is like seeing stuff that people haven't seen in years. And this little time capsule part of this storefront that you're going to see in a little bit was really cool, and it was definitely very vintage with the wood paneling, and I mean, you'll understand when you see it. But what I was getting to was, and what you're going to see in a minute, is we found some VHS tapes with some very interesting old school mall footage that is like, found footage or lost footage, so to speak. You're going to see a quick little clip on a kid's day at the mall from the 80s, and then you're going to see a couple clips from a car show that happened in 1991, I believe, and then we're going to flash to a short little clip of one of the Buffalo Bills running backs had a television show that was filmed around the area, mostly at malls. So if you're from the Buffalo area, you will definitely get a kick out of this clip. So sit back and enjoy a few minutes of these clips here, and then on the other side of these vintage clips, I'm going to show you some of that footage from when I traveled the mall with Dalton, and then I'll be back for some closing thoughts and some updates on what's coming up to the channel in just a little bit. So enjoy those clips, and we'll see you on the other side.
York kids. Kids of all ages are taking part in Kids Fest at Eastern Hills Mall this weekend. Youngsters can test their skills on an obstacle course, and they can take part in all kinds of different things going on. Tomorrow, Darby the Dinosaur is going to make an appearance. Kid Fest runs through 9 o'clock tomorrow night, again over at Eastern Hills, and all the proceeds go to the Variety Club Telethon.
Here's my friendly, courteous Meineke representative.
Absolutely. Good morning.
Take your order, sir?
Definitely.
The Thurman Thomas Show is brought to you by Shout. Subscribe now and get a free official Bills yearbook. Mid-City Dodge and Hamburg Dodge, your choice for your best deal. And by Treats Food Court in the Eastern Hills Mall.
The Empire Sports Network presents from the Treats Food Court at the Eastern Hills Mall in Clarence, New York, it's the Thurman Thomas Show. And now with the NFL's most valuable player, here's Bob Kaczynski.
And we are back, guys. How great was that? Some pretty awesome footage, especially if you're local. So now we are in the old Kleinahans here. And if you know what that third word is there for that Taylor store there, the brand of that, let me know. My buddy Dan Fuentes from Off the Rack knew, but it escapes me at the moment. So we are now walking around with Dalton, one of the mall managers, and what you're going to see now is a collection of old footage. This Kleinahans has been closed off for years. The front portion of the this store was walled off, and this is the back area there that we just went through there. So some pretty cool unseen stuff. And then what you're going to see now over the course of the next several minutes is the guts. Some of these, I mean, some of the main areas too, but of the Macy's. This Macy's was huge. It had a place to eat in it. It had a cafeteria for like employees. I mean, these anchor stores in their heyday were like almost like little cities, so to speak. And there were some various purposes that this was used for post-Macy's, both at a public and private level. There were some props that you're seeing here. They had like plays and rehearsals and staging type stuff. And then as you can see here, we're walking through the Macy's. What's funny is that, like I mentioned earlier in the video, this was a place called Niagara Emporium in its last iteration, post-Macy's. A huge, massive, huge, first full floor of a department store taken up by different vendors, and as you can see, I can't even imagine how much it must have taken to clear this space out, but they did for the most part. But as you can see here, clearly there is some stuff left behind. So like I said, just briefly here to wrap up here before I get into my little normal vaporwave chill music tour of the video here. Thank you to Dalton for taking me around. Hope you enjoy this back areas tour of Macy's and portions of the mall. The mall is now closed and awaiting redevelopment. Rumor has it is going to sit for several years before said development takes place, but we shall see. So just on a personal note here, once again, as I get out of here, it is very good to be back with you guys. I have missed making videos. I really have missed making videos, and I've promised you in 2024, if you follow my Instagram, for at least 12 new videos this year. So at least one per month. I'm going to try to do more, but we'll start with that for a goal. So back in the swing of things here with some places. A lot of places are gone, and that was kind of demoralizing, but there are still plenty of places to do and check out and film like only I can. And we are heading into February now, my 41st birthday. I am now a married man, so that's some personal news I want to share for those of you who haven't been in touch with me recently or know what's going on. So I was busy with that, and just my job here in the airline industry keeps me pretty on my toes. So once again, Anthony here, creator of Ace's Adventures. So good to be back with you all. Before I get out of here, make sure you are following me on Instagram at Ace's Adventures 1. That's the Instagram hashtag where I do go live, and that's my link. So make sure you follow me there to keep up to date with all my happenings. And consider, if you want to, I still have my Patreon up, and would like to get that going again. So if you like my channel and you want to help me, the biggest way you can help me, this is a user-funded free content channel, is considering donating at least $5 a month to the Patreon page. 100% of those proceeds, always and forever, go towards things like gas, traveling, hotels, things like that. So if you want to check that out and become a Patreon donor, would be super rad of you. $5 a month, or less or more, whatever you want. It helps out. Any little bit helps. So this is Anthony with Ace Adventures again. Good to be back with you all. Enjoy the rest of the video. There is some more great shots of the mall on its final day coming, and we'll be back soon, I promise, with more mall content.
Oh my god, is that Dan from Off the Rack? What are you doing here?